All right, let's look at the big one. Let's look at insensibility. This is quite long and one that many of you will probably choose to use. So let's break it down in a bunch of parts here that we're dealing with. Firstly, of course, the title, insensibility. Quite an interesting term or word. If you look at it, if one is knocked insensible, they're knocked unconscious, they've been knocked out. So that's one way of looking at it in that terms of meaning. And the other way, of course, is to consider that people are insensible to the suffering of the soldiers. So there's a lot going on just with that title, as Owen is quite well known for. The poem sort of reflects the Beatitudes of Jesus as one thing that he's doing. Again, Owen, being very literate or literary, is able to sort of deal with these issues. And here we have these famous Beatitudes, which most of you would probably know. There's an example there. Beatitude is a possession of all things held to be good. So Owen, of course, is again mocking the concept of it, and there they are. There, the 8 Beatitudes of Jesus. You can have a look at them. Blessed are those. Blessed are those. Blessed are those. So there's that style, which is the first part. But the other part is this. This is Wordsworth, the happy warrior. Who is the happy warrior? Who is he that every man in arms should wish to be? Going to war is something joyful, something to be considered fantastic. So he's also mocking this idea that dying in war is a glorious thing, much like, and you could link it therefore to Dulce, Decorum Est, and even Anthem. They both have that sort of concept. So let's have a look at the poem itself. Happy are men who yet before they are killed can let their veins run cold. Happy are those who become insensible to death, to the war, to everything else before they let their veins run cold. Whom no compassion fleers. Fleers, of course, means to make fun of, to jest. So, whom no compassion fleers or makes their feet sore on alleys cobbled with their brothers. Now, this here, compassion is a joke to these people. Anyone who's compassionate to these soldiers, it's considered to be a little bit beyond the pale. Rather than show compassion, actually, let's show compassion by stopping the war. So any compassion is just a mockery, is just making fun of us. And then we get this rather extraordinary image here. Alleys cobbled with their brothers. Cobbling, of course, being paving. At least a modern word for that would be paving. The ground is the dead bodies that they're walking over the top of. So the image is quite striking and quite severe. The front line withers, but they are troops who fade, not flowers for poets' tearful fooling. Men, gaps for filling, losses, who might have fought longer, but no one bothers. We're not dealing anymore with the fancies or fanciful ideas of a poet. We're dealing with the reality of war, and that is that these guys are just parts of a cog of the same machine. The idea continues on into the second part of this one, and some cease feeling even themselves or for themselves. So a complete idea of indication of what shell shock is like. Dullness best solves the tease and doubts of shelling, and chance's strange arithmetic comes simpler than the reckoning of their shilling. They keep no check on armies' decimation. Chance, as you can see, is given a capital letter. It is personified. It is a proper noun. Chance, just like death, has been personified in this sense. This time around, of course, fate as to who dies and who lives is arbitrary. And that, again, is a terrifying idea that really hits home for what it means to be a soldier and to be a warrior, that you're not there to be anything more than cannon fodder. Chance's strange arithmetic. They keep no check on armies' decimation. Decimation 1 in 10. So the death rate is huge. Happy are these who lose imagination. They have enough to carry with ammunition. Those who go from being the insightful poet to just the plodding soldier. Their spirit drags no pack. Their old wounds, save with cold, cannot more ache. Having seen all things red, their eyes are rid of the hurt of the colour of blood forever. They've become insensible to death. insensible to the idea of blood being something to be terrified by. The modern word for that is desensitization. And terror's first constriction over their hearts remain small drawn, their senses in some scorching cautery of battle, cautery being a burning, now long since ironed, can laugh among the dying unconcerned. It's a terrifying image and a mocking image, an oxymoronic image, laughing at death. That's a madness. We're dealing here in this particular area with the mad and the crazy, as it were. We continue, happy the soldier home, with not a notion how somewhere every dawn some men attack and many sighs are drained. We return to the returned soldier who no longer cares for his brothers in the front lines. So all empathy is lost, all idea of a sense of brotherhood in war is lost. And so we're mocking again this happy warrior business and the Beatitudes, the idea of society. So another idea is being lost quite significantly in this area. His days are worth forgetting more than not. He sings along the march, which we march taciturn because of dusk, the long, forlorn, relentless trend from larger day to huger night. So the marching is relentless. Okay, relentless is the key word there. Relentless trend from larger day to huge night. Forlorn, there is no hope. We have lost hope. Okay, so all of this is now the end of what seems to be Owen's world. We also see the issue here. They march silent. They march taciturn because of dusk, the long, forlorn, relentless trend from larger day to huger night. Everyone marching in silence. No one talking. It's almost like a death march there. We wise, who with a thought besmirch blood all over our soul, how should we see our task but through his blunt and lashless eyes? And we're talking about the insensible soldier and the poet, the one who's lost all sense of self, been knocked unsensible. We who are part of this, who understand this, we wise, we with the gift of knowledge, and in that sense a gift is also a burden. Ignorance is bliss and so forth. Alive here is not vital over much. Vital is another word for life. Vitality, vitamin, is where we get those words from. Dying, not mortal over much, nor sad, nor proud, nor curious at all. He cannot tell old men's placidity from his. The young man has been juxtaposed with that of an old man, not doing much at all, which is a tragedy. But cursed are dullards whom no cannon stuns, that they should be as stones. Wretched are they and mean, with paucity that was never simplicity. By choice they make themselves immune to pity, and whatever moans in man before the last sea and hapless stars, whatever mourns when many leave these shores, whatever shares the eternal reciprocity of tears. This last lament here, but cursed are dullards whom no cannon stuns. Now the dullards, the argument here is that he is possibly talking about the generals, or is talking about the soldiers. Again, with Owen, there's always that two-pronged attack. The dullards who are insensible to our suffering, or the dullards who have become so dead that they will suffer eternally. That they should be as stones, a bit of a simile there, that they should be cold as stones. Wretched are they and mean, with paucity that was never simplicity. A paucity in their thinking that isn't a simple, elegant kind of thinking. And Occam's razor, the simplest solution is the best solution. For these people, it's a paucity being a lack of ideas, and a lack of humanity, and a lack of compassion. By choice, they make themselves immune. By choice, as opposed to the soldiers on the front, who don't have a choice, to pity and whatever moans in man before the last sea and the hapless stars, whatever mourns when many leave these shores, whatever shares the eternal reciprocity of tears. Again, we get the image of a funeral, and a funeral that has been a failed one. It is quite tragic and sad at the end there, and it breaks down into almost a tragic, tearful sense of helplessness at the end there. So quite an extraordinary poem. If you do use this one for your essay, you do quite well, because we're talking about not only the loss of a person's self, a person's identity, they're becoming sensible, but we're talking about the loss of community again, the loss of the brotherhood of war, and these things are where the tragedy of what Owen's trying to get at lies. It's a central poem, and it's one that I would consider pretty important in terms of the essay. It does work beautifully in terms of some very simple techniques. You have just similes going on, a couple of small little metaphors, a couple of images of death and life and personification. There's very little else. In fact, it really is just a series of sort of mournful beatitudes in that sense of Jesus' beatitudes, and a take on what Wordsworth was doing here, which, as you can see, is very different stylistically. But look at this: said, "Forever and noble deeds give birth, or he must fall to sleep with his fame, and leave a dead, unprofitable name. Finds comfort in himself and his cause, and while the mortal mist is gathering, draws his breath in confidence of heaven's applause. This the happy warrior." And here you get this this ending, which is different to that. You get this mournful ending where no one applauds. Okay, so Owen again is mocking the very idea of the social order of the time, and that is really what Owen's about. And again, his audience are those in the home front, and that's the tragedy, that they don't see the truth. Anyway, good one to use.